Hi, Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Welcome. Sulaiman Rahim here, Master of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to do a Noah Dimension Part 2. I was reluctant to do Part 1 because it's so complicated. And then I thought about it last night, and I said yesterday anyway. And I think the importance of doing this a different way to get you to see what it means. In this case, it's the process that matters. Because if you can begin to understand what I'm doing here, you realize you just can't pick up those scriptures and give it in your philosophical meaning, your homeboy interpretation or whatever. You can't. You need the key to get the proper translation of what those verses mean. So if they don't have a key, that means they don't know what the hell they're talking about, period. You see, Farrakhan gives philosophical ideas what this verse means, that verse means. He's lying about most of it because some of it he knows what it means. If he says he's supposed to be, supporting Elijah's version, which he totally disses, right? But that just tells you, if you understand the process here, because it's very complicated. This is one of the more complicated ones, right? I spent all night working on this, literally all night working on this, trying to put in a form that it could be understood, understandable, because it's very difficult to put this together, even for people that may be familiar with the angel. So I spent all night working on this, trying to say, can I find a way to put this in a better way that can be understood? So I think I made some progress on those lines. Right. But when you boil it all down, you find out that most of the scriptures, see, I'm talking about unlocked scripture. See, they was given a sealed scripture, which says one thing on the surface. Even that, they can't even get that right. See, but when you unlock it, you see it says something else altogether. They was given the sealed version. And it says Suleiman will come along and break those seals, and he will unlock, because it said the Bible is under the veil. But they don't pay attention on that. They said, well, God's been taught the angel and the gospel and the book and all. He ain't taught shit. He ain't been taught shit. He been taught something about Elijah Muhammad, but he won't even talk about what he's been taught. So we're going to go into this, brothers and sisters, but you're going to find out that a lot of this, all of it, most of it, is going back to the Holocaust. Most of it is going back to the Holocaust. The repercussions of the Holocaust. The Holocaust. Because what they're experiencing now is the consequence of the Holocaust. And like I was saying, consequence is not delayed, it's instantaneous. The problem is when does it manifest? You can see it. The longer it takes to manifest, so the more dramatic it is. It's like, for instance, you got termites, and they're eating away at your house. They're eating away at your house. You may not see them. By the time you see the house falling down, so damage is being done. See, everything they was doing, they was damaging. In fact, this country, this whole day, they was destroyed before they started. Once they set foot over here, they already started their destruction. They begin their destruction once they set foot over here. So everything they did from then on was like termites rotting away right at the whole European theater. Now just remember, this emanates out of Europe. In the bottom line, right? All this emanates out of Europe. That's the core of it. Right? Britain came out of Europe. It's not Europe. It came out of the Europeans. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and so forth. They're all Europeans. They scatter all over the world. As I said, they come out the pit. They went all over the world. Right? And once they came out, they had a choice to try to stick with, right, which is against their nature. Stick with the scripture, or go with their nature. They went with their nature of making mischief and shed blood. They was told not to touch that tree. Us, they did anyway. It says, they not touch that tree or they be unjust. See, because they was just in making mischief and shed blood because that was the time, that was the season for it. So long as they just did that, then, right, because that's what they was made to do. But they, when they're overboard, that's where the consequences come in because they went further than they were supposed to go. See, so they went out and they took this people's land. That wasn't in the scripture. They weren't supposed to do that. Right? They commit all, and they put it all in the name of the cross, the name of their so-called Jesus, and they committed genocide on women and children. They just wiped them out, took their land, they dragged us over here, and they raped us. That's the Holocaust, and they're supposed to do that. Now, they could have brought us over here and enslaved us. They was allowed to go up to that point. No more than that. Servitude. We serve them, they don't pay us, right? But we serve them, right? I mean, they give us minimum, requirements to survive, but they went minimum. Boy, they really went to the minimum. They went to even worse than the minimum. Because what they gave wasn't even fit for humans. Wasn't fit for dogs. They went behind that. And so they started destruction. See, it starts like a cancer eating away, like the termites eating away at the core. And so now you see the result of it. You see the house is collapsing. And they can't do anything about it because the structure is already destroyed. The terminals is already destroyed. They destroyed it. Now you see the result. Okay? So you see a house, the termites eating away maybe 20, 30 years, but the house collapsed all at once. See? The damage is done all at once. The house was standing. Everybody was living in the house, everything. You see everything was fine. And all of a sudden, it's gone. Same thing. 500 years. They created all this everything. And you can't, at that point, you can't save the house. You can't go into the woods. Everything's gone. So it's either way. We can understand it. And I'm trying to explain it in a better, in a more detailed way. Right? See? Because America is already gone. There's nothing they can do. Let's look around in every aspect, right? They got a problem. Economically, socially, physically, militarily, right? Spiritually, religiously, in every aspect. Because the house is rotten. It's already rotten all the way through. So now they've seen the result. And one day, they've seen the result. See? And they can't change it. It's rotten through the core. It's already rotten. There's nothing they can do. They can't fix it. It's impossible to fix it. Like the house, the woods already are gone. They can't fix it. If they see it, they go in and see, oh man, we got an infestation of termites. Even if they see it before the house collapses, nothing. The only thing they do is get up out of the house. The house won't collapse in a minute because there's nothing they can do to correct it at that point. Because the woods already damaged, just barely hold on. So all one, see? That's why Jesus told me, when you see it, see? Because like I said, you're cultivating a cancer. And it may take years to see it, but when you see it, it's inoperable. You understand what I'm saying? So it might take years to build up, and then the doctor said, man, you got a week to live. And 6 months to live. See? So that's the same thing. America's destruction one day because all destruction, everything they did, right? So it was eaten away. It was receiving the consequences. You just couldn't see it. The children and children is irreverent, right? So have no respect for their parents, right? They got a reprobate mind, right? They got sexual dysfunction, sexual confusion. Everything. It's right in their DNA. They produce children that's more wicked than themselves. So it's all there. There's nothing they can do. See? It's just how long before the house actually collapses? How long before America actually collapses? Because in everything, there's no soundness in it. Right? It's rotten through and through and through and through. You can see it. Anybody can see it. It's rotten through and through and through. They can't save it. See, and once they realize that, they don't have to abandon it, right? and then have to find somebody else's house to steal. That's why everybody's focusing on Africa. So a lot of things I don't want to talk about because I don't want to give away. You understand? But why is everybody focusing on Africa now? Chinese are focusing on Africa, but America is really focusing on Africa. They ain't telling you and talking from the background because that's their last frontier. They want to take Africa. See, that's why all these plagues also popping up in Africa. Ebola and monkeypox, all this stuff. But the COVID wasn't. It didn't pop over. It wasn't because all those things are man-made to destroy Africans. COVID wasn't. See, that's one of the plagues destroy them. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See, there's a lot of times we can talk about what they're doing. See, I can't talk about everything they're doing. Right. Some things have to remain a surprise. See. Well, but these are all their plans. I already said I'm not going to keep talking about all the plans they got. They got so many plans. If this happens, this continues, if that happens. No, we're going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. Because we already know, so we have to sit around and plays. Well, if this happened, they may do this, may do that. No, we know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. That's what I'm going to speak to. But you have to understand, brothers and sisters. What's going on here? See? So, if they looked at if they already had inspectors come in and say this thing cannot be fixed, the termite infestation is so bad, then they got to figure, okay, where are we going to go? Here's the place, the last frontier. That's the place. And see, that's one of the reasons why I tell you about, that beast from Africa, Lucifer. I'm not going to call his name out. He knows that too. He was president of the country. Yeah. So it's a lot of things happening in the background, brothers and sisters. But have you noticed that Mr. Farrakhan, the prophet, the anointed one, he didn't speak about none of that. What, it's been 3 weeks already, almost 4 months, 4 weeks, and the world is on fire, right? And he's not saying a damn thing about it. Some all kinds of bullshit, little circus shows. Guy says, 2, 3, 4, 1, do what you're looking for. All this bullshit, right? And guys from Mars and Venus and New York, whatever, talking about nothing, right? Why? Because he don't know a damn thing. Like he know about COVID. He's scared to speak out. See, because he already heard what I had to say and he's scared, right? He don't want to be wrong about this. Because every time he opens his mouth, he's wrong. And then they keep finding out because he got a lot of contention over there. And they watching this. But see, they watching this. And then they're trying, it's like a horse race. And I see who's going to be who's going to get to the finish line first. Because I'm saying this, he's saying something else. Who's right? That's one horse they want to jump on. But it's not going to work like that. Because if they wait till that happens, they don't get on this horse. They don't get on this horse. They can go to tribulation, they can walk to tribulation, but that, again, that's horse. I'm not going to carry them through. We're going to stand, bro, says we're going to move on. Now, again, the Noah dimension. Now again, it's very complicated. Now I put it in a different format. Right? Hopefully it's easier for you to understand it. But it's mostly the process I'm going after here. Because I'm showing how you go through this process and you analyze, because this is very complicated, but it's a good riddle to analyze to show the intricacies of the scriptures relative to the angel key. See, so in that sense, it's very good. That's why I took the time to go ahead and do it. I wasn't going to do it. I had so many other things in my mind, so I was going to take a break, right? Because I barely needed one. I've been going 37 years, 9, stop, because to this day, I said, there's no point in getting 1 foot from the finish line and then take a break. I got to get you across the finish line, brothers and sisters, right? So I'm still going. I'm still hanging in there. I get you across the finish line. So I'm saying I'm tired. I'm not really tired, right? But you don't have to be tired. You need some rest. You start forgetting things and stuff like that, right? And making silly mistakes, right? And I don't mean you're tired. That's when you need some rest. Right. So we haven't got there yet where we have abundant energy. We don't need to sleep or anything. Anyway, boss, let me just move on here. Okay, the Noah dimension. So I'm going to walk this, and I'm going to try to be a little slower than I was yesterday, try to be more articulate if that's possible, right? I took a different approach, so we'll see what happens here. But no matter what I do, you still have to study. Like I said, I'm more interested in this case in showing the process to show what you have to do to unlock this stuff. Because it took a lot of work to unlock. This was a particularly hard one. The one I did with Daniel, Joseph, that was a hard one too. It looks easy. I made it look real easy. I made that one look real easy. Right? But this one was very difficult to make it look easy. It's more complicated. Got a lot of nuances and stuff that you wouldn't notice. See, it was a process. So if you kind of glean, what's happening and starting to see, the cake coming out of all the dough and everything, and you say, hey man, you're right, damn, that's what you got to do to figure these things out. What that effing Farrakhan over there pull the shit out of his ass talking about his honey. Because he don't know shit. He don't know anything. Right? And like I said, he's my main target. He's the main target. He's the main target I'm after right now. And he's about gone. They got a lot of dissension over there. But see, you got a lot of people over there, they're trying to wait and see, cover their ass. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Because this is obvious. This truth is clear. Okay, I'm gonna try, so first, I'm gonna label first Elijah's legacy. Let's see if we go with that. Now, when you go into the Noah's, it talks about this dove. Now, I know some people, oh man, boy, Noah sent dove out, the dove came back and sent out. Yes, so why do you need that detail? How in hell is that going to do anything for your life? How are you going to encourage this kind of way? You get some motivational speakers and yeah, man, see, you got to be persistent. I keep on saying dove, but that didn't work because it did. He lost the dove. So persistence wasn't a good example in that situation. It wasn't a lesson there. So why this? And why do I know about this? I know it did this in a 600 year, in the second month, and the 30th day. What's that? Because it's a code. It's not something that happened in the past. They're trying to trick you. Because that's not the way you write scripture. That's Muhammad said, write future history. They don't write past history. History is not a book. Just go once you find, you can read it. But this is prophecy. They write future history. And they keep telling you this stuff was in the past. Then what's in the future then? It's prophecy, right? If it's everything's in the past, what I'm trying to tell you, okay, until what's in the future then? So anyway, so we're talking about this dove. So let's see what that means. And it says 7 days before the flood. So yes, 7 more days. See, this happened before the flood. What's the flood? See, we'll see what the flood is, but basically flood is the flood is what destroys the European countries. European countries are the first countries to go down. They're the ones that cause all this trouble. Mischief, blood, got all these countries against each other, destroy people's bounds, right? Destroy us as a nation. They're going to be the first one to go down. See, that's the flood. A flood of humanity, not a flood of water. Understand that. Excuse me. Yes, I was up all night, so keep your brothers and sisters. So this dove they're talking about refers to the period before the flood, because it says 70 days before the flood, right? See, it says I'll cause rain on earth 40 days and 40 nights, whatever. But it precedes the flood. So let's go into it. So who's this dove? Now remember, it's a dove and a raven. If you look closely, raven doesn't go into effect till after the flood. So they don't go together at the same time. They don't happen at the same time. So it says, here it is. And after 7 more days after, now came about the 7 days that the waters of the flood came upon the earth. Now it came after 7 days. So 7 days is something that happens before the flood. And the flood is the war that's about to take place after Armageddon or during Armageddon. So it's something that's happened before that. See? So we're going to track this dove and see if we can find out where it is. And rain has something to do with it. So we got to find out what's rain. Rain has to do with it because rain and angel has a certain meaning. Right? So after 7 days, the 7 days covers a certain period. Now what this represents is the angel key. It represents the angel key, right? Before we were enslaved. See? Before we were enslaved. Before we came over here, because we weren't corrupt at that time. It was gold. That's the gold that you see, the 7 golden in the chapter 1 of the angel of Revelations. It says 7 golden candlesticks and 7 candlesticks. 7 candlesticks are white. The golden ones are the original nation. Most people don't catch that either. Right? Okay. This is before. Right? So I said before enslaved. Before we're enslaved. Right? Okay. This is where the angel key looked at that time. Okay? And then we were enslaved. And then we were enslaved. Okay? You see, here's a dove. So it says, he sent out a dove to see if the water was low on the surface of the land. Before the flood, was low on the surface of the land. That means it wasn't flooding. See? It wasn't flooded yet. It says before the flood. That's the dove there. See? Now the dove represents the original nation. That's Farrakhan. Just cut to the chase there. Then you got a demon, another demon, because now the nation is corrupted, because it's corrupted through wars over here, and for 40 years, nearly 5 years of rape, they produced black-faced Caucasians, black-faced devils. See, what's called demons, half devil, half man. Okay, so that's the dove they're talking about. We're going to track this dove. So he said the dove went out. The position he was before, I didn't show that, but it was where Elijah is. On there, because him and Elijah, these things have a specific order you have to follow. You just can't willy-nilly, arbitrarily just put something somewhere. So he was where Elijah was. So now he's there. He went out, right? Okay. Then it says the dove returned. See? So we slave, and dove return. Right? Now what does this mean? See, we understand we got tracking in the key. So this was just when Master Muhammad showed up and started raising the nation again. See? Now Elijah Muhammad ends up teaching the demons and the ravens. So I mean the dove returned because it's back to its original position. It's back to its original position. It was talked about. This is no suggestion or a guess. This is what it means. See, so Master Muhammad shows up, start raising the nation up, right? Elijah told us preach to both the demons and the saints, the chaff and the wheat. See, and as 40 years, this process goes on. See, so we track so far. So far, the dove went out and came back in, right? That's one stage. Then it goes back out again. It says it. So he waited another 7 days. Remember, this during the 7. That's why I keep saying 7 days, because during that 7-day period, he went another 7 days longer, and again he sent out the dove from the ark. So he sent him out again. Now it's out again. Second time, right? Then what happens? And this represents the falling away. See? The previous one I said, that represented, right? The resurrection, right? Initiated by Master Muhammad, right? So, black folks, come together. Now, after Elijah's departure, the falling away. So, the dove goes back out again. And back out again. See? So, the dove out again. So, then what happens then? Falling away. Farrakhan is caused the falling away. See? He don't want to admit it, but he was part of it. He the one in the wall single-handedly took down the NOI. And it wasn't the government. I was there. I was eyewitness. I just FOI on good standing, right? And Farrakhan was being mouth messenger, everything. They took it down and set up some organizations called the Belialians. See? So that's the falling away. They talk about Thessalonian, right? Falling away come first, right? Hold it. I got ahead of myself here. Where am I at here? Oh, I'm going the wrong way here. Oh, hold it. I got to sync here somehow. Hope I didn't, okay, here we go. Excuse me, bonuses. I must touch something. Okay, so he went out again, right? So, let me back this up, because I'm a little out of sync here. This is where I was before. This one, Elijah's, right? That's our moment. Started raising up the nation of Islam. Started raising up the original nation. Elijah Muhammad is corrupted at this point. Elijah Muhammad is teaches the demons as well as the saints, right? Or the chaff as well as the wheat, right? And that's 40 years, the reign of Elijah Muhammad, right? It's where the dove found the resting place. He returned back, right? Okay. Then he goes out again. He waits again. Then he's out again, right? See, this represents, right, the falling away. See, so Master Muhammad comes, right? He started raising up, right? Elijah Muhammad goes 40 years, then the falling away, and that's where we're right in it. That means the dove goes out again from his position. Okay? Then what? Then he comes back again. This is the resurrection that's about to take place. All black folks come together. He comes back up again, and back in his position. See, he going the same position, back and forth, back. That's where a dove is. Why I keep doing it? Because that's the angel key. So now he's back in that position again. So he's on, right? He's returning again. Mm-hmm. Then what happens? That's the resurrection. This represents the resurrection. Black folks coming together, right? This represents the resurrection at a time that the war takes place in heaven. Michael's angels go to war with dragons' angels, and they're defeated. That's what we see at the bottom down there, right? False Israel is taken down, and America and Britain, America, right? They're right? They're kicked out of the Middle East. Okay, I understand, brothers and sisters. Then what? See? So remember, he came back again, so man is cast out. He goes out again. Goes out again. Why keep the dove keep coming and going, right? So then it goes out again. But he don't return this time, because that's as the resurrection. Let's take a look at this again. See, at this point, black folks come together. This is the harvest, right? Because as I said, do not separate the wheat from the chaff. Will be done at the harvest. Don't set the demons out from the saints until you've seen it from the rest of people. So the harvest. So now they're together. Now the demons are being separated out. See, so they're going out again. That's why they don't come back. Now he's going out. This time they'll come back because he's kicked out. See. Still before the flood happens, he kicked out. Then you have the demons down there. See, the dove, he's one of the demons. But all kinds of demons follows the devil. You can't make this stuff up, brothers and sisters. Okay? Keep that in mind now. So he doesn't come back. See, but then he waited another 7 days longer, sent out the dove, and the dove did not return to him. He said, why 7 days? 7 days, because they referred to 7 days that happened before the flood. That's keep talking about, he went, no, 7 days, no, 7 days. Because he's talking about the 7 days. See, that's the code. Let them know that he's talking about the 7 days before the flood. See, and before the flood. So let's go and see what happened. We'll go from here. Okay, before I go into the next one, brothers and sisters, I want you to think about what I just told you. Take a few seconds, think about what I just told you, because it's complicated. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to take a small break here, right? So I'll give you a couple of minutes, just think about that. Just a couple of minutes, think about it. Okay, bro, since I'm back. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So move on to the next level. Armageddon. Now remember, Elijah's legacy, all that was about that dove. All that dove was about the nation of Islam from the beginning, the original nation, right? From the time of Master Muhammad showing up until the war. Okay? Up until Armageddon. That's what it does. Right? That's the whole story is about. Going out, because it's talking about the chief demon, Legion, the Eugene Ground's NY backwards. That's what dove's all about. Right. Now the raven they're talking about there, now remember the dove is white, the raven is black. But when you read it carefully, the raven doesn't do anything until after the flood. Yeah, read it very carefully. We're going to talk about that. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now we go to Armageddon. Now, floodgates open. Now remember, this is Noah's flood. So it hasn't flooded yet. He's praying the ark and all that kind of stuff, right? It hasn't flooded yet. This is preparation for the flood. He's angry at the nations. He's angry at the earth. Earth represents European countries, if you understand the angel key. See, he wants to get rid of all the European countries. See? All the Europeans, because he wants to destroy everything that's on the earth. You think about the planet. Okay, so still 7 days before the flood. Flood hasn't come yet. It's still part of the 7 days before the flood. So we're going to see what this is about here. And we talk about the dove, right? And the rain. I missed that one. The rain, if you go, well, should we go back and look at that? The rain, well, maybe I can show it in the next presentation. The rain also, right? The rain was part of that. Because the rain, maybe I can show it in. I don't want to really go backwards. Okay. So here, let's look at this. What is this story about? Oops. What is this story about? Okay. Now, it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month and 17th day of the month. Now, why do we care if it's a 6th month and 70th day of the month? Why is that important? I mean, why would they give that kind of detail? I mean, you know, go back in history, got a time machine or something? No, because you go down and look further, right? It says on the next, right, in verse 4, in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, see, it's still talking about 600, because he's still 600 years old, right? So, 7th month and 17th day, 2nd month and 17th day. 2nd month and 17th day, remember that, and 7th month, 17th day. That's the key. The key is not that day, it's the difference between that day, which is 5 months. Because it's 17th day, 7 days, so you can take it out. 600, take it out, and the difference between 2nd month and 7th month is 5 months. See? That's a 5 month period they're talking about here. That's what these days come in pairs. That's what you have to notice. Every little thing, these days come in pairs. So so it's not the date itself, it's the difference between those 2 days. They're talking about a 5 month period here. See, we're talking about a 5 month period between the 7th month or whatever year it is and then 2nd month. 5 months. So we're going to find out what that's all about. So the floodgates be open. See? Okay, that's doing Armageddon, right? Now see where it says rain down there. That's why I forgot to mention another part. The rain represents. Let me check some quick here. 1 second. Little small technical adjustment. Little small technical adjustment here. Okay, that's a little better, I think. Yeah. That's a little, well, maybe let me look here. Let me take a look here real quick. Oh, I went to the wrong place. Little technical adjustment here. Yeah, that should be okay. That should be okay. Oops. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, got it. There you go. Got it. Okay. Problem solved. See, the rain, you see, fountains, that's also the Shia. See, and it says, I will cause the rain comes before the flood. And that gets a little more complicated. I'm not going into details about that here, but that's what's talking about, because that rain represents the problems they have with the Shia right now, specifically Iran. That has something to do with that, but I'll just leave it there. See, but that happened before the flood. It rained on the earth 4 days and 4 rain, and then came, right? Get more 7 days more, and of course rain, and then right. So here, that's what that's all about. Anyway, there's still 7 days before the flood. That's a 7th period of time before the flood, right? So Armageddon comes before the flood. So let's look at this. This is the structure. This is the key. This structure right here, right? Okay. Now this is time when your original nation, right, been raised, resurrected. We said about in the last. We said in the last. Let me make sure if I show it here. No, I'm not showing here. Here. So we said in the last. That's what you think about it, right? Oops. So this is the time when black folks coming together, right? This is before the demons are cast out. All this, see, because what we're referring to right now is we're talking about what happens. I should back this up and maybe understand it more clearly. Like I said, it's very, very complicated, brothers and sisters. But see where it says, in 600 years of Noah's life, in the second month, 70 days, see, I should read the whole thing. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the foundations of the great deep burst, and the water gates of the sky were opened. That means that what was holding back the flood, right, was removed. Then see the second part. Then the 7th month, 5 months later, on the 7th day of the month, the ark rested upon the mountain of Arafat. See? So, during that 5 months, the flood takes place. See, because now the ark is resting on it during that 5 months. So, you got to keep that in mind. So, but the first one is before the flood. The second one is during the flood. During that 5 month period. Okay, but something happens in that 5 month period, so we're going to pay attention to that. You understand that? That's why I got to read. Said the first one says, in that day all the fowls of the deep burst open, and the floodgates of the sky were open. That means the flood had taken place, but what was hindering the flood, what was holding back the flood, was taken away. And then the second part, in the 7th month, 5 months later, ark rested upon the mountains of Arafat. That means, right, this during the flood, that 5 months is during the flood. This 5 months we're talking about here. Okay? For this period of time, because what we were talking about before was the dove, but now we're talking about these 2 dates here that they give. The 600 year of Noah's life, these 2 dates. This is what this puzzle is about. Right? And what happens during that time. Okay? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to go a little. Armageddon happens between that time. Okay. Here's the fountains. The fountains, what's holding the flood? See, the flood is the sea and the river. That's the water. And the earth is below that. And what's between it is that's the fountain. That's the Shia. They're holding it back. They're holding the flood back. You see? They're holding it back. Okay. So, something happens to stop them holding it back. Okay? But this is during Armageddon, because during this time, Shia has kicked America and Britain out of the false Israel. False Israel out of the Middle East, they're gone. See, false Israel is cast down there. America's right behind it, right? And then they're at war in Europe. They're war in Europe between Russia and EU. And I told you, I've been telling you for years, that EU is going to go betray America, and they're going to go inside of Russia. And now you hear rumors about that right now because they're getting upset because they're having fuel shortages because of America's adventurism in Ukraine. And so they say they might tell America go to hell because they want Russia to keep getting oil from Russia. So they tell Russia go to hell, America go to hell. So, because they're not going to freeze everything because Russia turned the oil off because they just adventurism America has with Russia. But now we find out that somebody sabotaged the pipelines from Russia. And so they said that's going to really heighten the situation because they got another stream coming in from someplace, I think from Sweden, someplace like that there, right? The Netherlands, I think it is, right? And so they're trying to cut Russia. And Russia, well, we'll stop Russia blowing that one up. They don't have any oil coming in Europe. Anyway, keep that in mind. So Armageddon is doing that 5 months before the flood. Armageddon happened before the flood. This is still in that period of time before the flood. Okay? And then this is what happens when those fountains, right, are taken away that was holding back. See? Because they also call the trees. Right? And they're taken away. So now, but when they take it away, that's the demons cast out because they change the position. When the demon, that's when it's taken away. When the demons are cast out, the demons cast out at the same time. So what are we at this point? This point in time, right? America and Britain's kicked out of the Middle East, right? The flood hasn't happened yet. Armageddon's taking place because America's at war in Europe, betrayed by EU, right? The resurrection has taken place, and demons were cast out. So the demons are cast out at the time that the barriers to the flood was removed. So those happened at the same time. Okay? Hope you understand. See, because you see, I don't know if you saw that or not. Let's go back and make sure you understand it. Here's the foundation that's between the sea and the earth. Remember, European countries and false Israel represent the earth. And you got the flood, that's the waters above it, and was holding it back as a fountain. So when those fountains are taken away, right, because it's building the ark. They go into the ark, right, and they replace, right, they're replacing the demons. The devil's a demon also. So now there's nothing to hold the flood back except the demons. See, and that's a 5-month plague. There's the only thing holding it back is the demons now. Only thing holding the flood back, and that's a 5-month plague that will happen just before the flood. Now we know, those who've been studying the angel, is that the flood will not, the invasion of America will take place at the same time the demons are destroyed. The demons, the 5-month war, the demons are destroyed, right? And at the same time that the goat is embarking on the west coast. You see how this story works totally in sync with what the angel has been saying. I'm trying to show you the process. And the angel key to get this because I've been saying the same thing for years, and this chapter reflects that. It justifies it. It verifies it. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I know it's very complicated. I'm trying to go slow and try to spell out easier. Trying to go slow and spell it out slowly and more carefully. I did yesterday. And those who've been studying the angel, you see how it maps in perfectly. See? How it verifies. It gives much information as you had before, plus it gives a little more detail. Because it's not redundant. Every time you go and break one of those things, you ignite atom bomb, right? Atomic bomb. That's what I'm gonna start calling it. Different atomic bomb, right? See, not atom, atomic bomb, right? That's thought atmosphere, thought blast. Because that's what thought is pressure, and I'm emitting greatest pressure in the world. It may be his latter point, but see, then you say, oh man, look, he's just one little person. Well, you know, if you ignite a atomic bomb, right, if you understand, look up the dynamics of it. What they do is like little small. Now remember, you got this, you drop it, and you see the bomb may be this big. That's not the explosion. That's just the the tool, the device to cause the explosion. The explosion is they ignite a little area in this, about the size of an atom, right? And it's so hot, the atoms move around so fast. In that little spot, see, they create temperature of thousands of degrees. Thousands of degrees. Because that's what temperature is. Heat is movement. Heat, it's how fast the atoms are moving. So when they ignite it, they have these atoms moving around at super speeds. 1,000 miles per second, 100,000 miles per second. Not speed of light, they can't get that. But very fast, it's got super hot. Temperature may be 1,000,000 degrees, almost higher than the sun. So, but it still starts spreading out. So if it's at that point, it's like 1,000,000 degrees. Maybe a foot later, it's like 900,000 degrees. Another yard later, it's maybe 90,000 degrees. You see what I'm saying? But still, it's super hot, and that's it spreads out. That's why I said things spreading out there, and it cools off. But when it gets down to around about 100 degrees, how far out is it? Is it a mile out, 2 miles out, 3 miles out? Because if you get 100 degrees, you're still burning you up. Maybe maybe it's 200 or 300 degrees, right? So how long does it take? Because the equation is 1 over r squared. R is the radius. So in other words, if you figure out, you put 1 in there, right? Then that'd be 1 times whatever degrees is. But you put 2 in this, right? That becomes 1/4. Put 3 in there, it becomes 1/9. So it gets at that rate, it's decreasing at that rate. So you just say, how hot was it in the middle? How long? And same thing with thought. You see, we put this thought, I'm affecting the atmosphere. It's like if I'm in the water, I'm in the ocean, if I move around, I'm affecting the waves in the ocean. If you see, you can't, that's why you see in the air, we made the air such a way it's invisible. So you can't really see the waves and stuff now unless you, with supersonic speeds, and then because you wouldn't know that the air had that much power until you got a plane moving at speed, faster than speed of sound. Then you get a sonic boom, bam! So where'd that come from? Because you couldn't see no air or anything, and you see the power of the air. So he said they would be the prince of the power of the air. Because you can't see the air, but you see the power of it when you create a sonic boom. You also lightning. Bam! Lightning is separate because it separates the air. And you say air, man. But with the lightning, what it does, it separates the air. It creates a vacuum in the air. Right? Like a hole, there's nothing in it. But the air's got pressure. So if you do it fast enough, that means that now the air reacts at the speed of sound, right? Boom, come together. That's a thunderclap. Damn, I know the air had that much power. It's a thunderclap. Because you're experiencing the power of the air that you can't see and you don't know. But at certain speeds, then you see the power of it. Because lightning, speed of sound, speed of light, right? 186,000 miles a second. Bam, it creates a big vacuum in here. Bam, it comes against it. Damn, I didn't know the air had that much power. It's like when you see hurricanes and tornadoes, that's the power of the air. See? But thought is pressure also. And we have a whole thought atmosphere. What that means? Okay, you got the pressure of the air. In the ocean, you got the pressure of the water. But we got the pressure of the thought. All our thoughts is forming a pressure, a mental pressure field, a thought atmosphere. All our thoughts together, we're in that field. See, the fish, they may not see the air pressure because they're in the fish. They don't know about this pressure right here, the air pressure. And you don't know about the thought pressure. Because if you understand thought as pressure, that means all our thoughts are in the pressure of the thought atmosphere. Right? And anytime I say something, I'm affecting, just like if in the air, right? If you sonic boom, right? You're affected the whole air, the whole planet. People are close to you, they can hear it. Right? So depending on how far, it may be 10, 100 miles. A lightning bolt is sharp enough, you might hear it 1,000 miles away, 100 miles away, you might hear it. See? That's on the conscious level. But people 10,000 miles away, they heard it too on subconscious level because they picked up the pressure waves. It was so low the vibrational low, and they didn't pick it consciously, but they still picked it up. Just like when you see an atomic bomb, when you ignite an atomic bomb, it affects the whole Earth. That blast affects the whole Earth, but it's so far away that it may affect it by a small degree, maybe a little degree, right? Maybe it was some million degrees at that point. But by the time it got from New York to Zimbabwe or something like that, it may have only increased the pressure, maybe from 75 degrees to 76 degrees. It still affected it. Still affect, that's the point I'm trying to say. You throw a big rock in the ocean, it's going to rock, it's going to change, it's going to move vibration the whole ocean. If you drop here, if you drive off the coast of New Jersey, right? Okay, that vibration by the time it hits right the coast of Morocco, right? It may be you may even really notice it, but it still did it. Now, if you go to check out whales, it says whales. Remember, they make these sonic in the ocean, right? And they say a whale can hear. Their sense is so sharp that if a whale is singing on one side of the planet, another whale can hear on the other side of the planet. That's what they say. I don't know. That's what they say. And that's what submarines, they use sonic, because what it does is that they can hear another submarine 1,000 miles away. Because it's moving, it's creating sonic, it's creating pressure waves. And they make tools so sensitive, they can pick up the slightest pressure waves. So they can pick up a submarine, because they can't see it, they can pick up the pressure waves from thousands of miles away. The point I'm trying to make is that you got a whole atmosphere you don't know about. Because you can't see it, and you don't realize your thought is pressure, and so you got the pressure of everybody's thoughts on the planet, including the animals. Right? All the brain waves, all the planet is one pressure thought atmosphere. And when you put thoughts out there, you're affecting it. And so when you ignite one of these things here, that means, because the greater that vibration that you create, the more effect, the more powerful it's going to have. And as a move. So in other words, if you ignite a firecracker, it's going to have some effect. Minute effect, but if you're not an atomic bomb, right, it's going to have effect, a significant effect, right, for hundreds of miles maybe, but it's going to affect the whole planet. But if you're a nuclear bomb, right, maybe 1,000 times more powerful, right, then you're going to see light and you're going to hear noise, maybe thousands of miles away. And so the energy was designed, right, to have so much that you ignite it. Thought pressure was so great that it affected the entire planet. So, well, because if you're hearing this, right, you may consciously say, I don't really bother with this, but your brain doesn't do that. Your brain picks up everything and analyzes everything, consciously and subconsciously. You see a lot of things. Your light spectrum. Yeah, I don't mean to go into all this too much, dear brothers, but the light spectrum is very broad. Look it up. Just look up the light spectrum. You don't see a small portion of it, but your eyes see it all. Your eyes see it all. X-ray, ultraviolet. Your eye gets it all, but your consciousness only stays in a certain spectrum, because that's the spectrum we design, because that's the one that gives the beauty to everything. Because if you start looking at ultraviolet, that kind of stuff, your beauty goes out, because you start seeing things you don't want to see, right? So we got a spectrum. We design our lives to see the spectrum that gives beauty to everything. But you see it all. Your conscience only sees. That's why some people are colorblind or whatever, because their conscience only sees certain colors. They don't see all of it. We're going to stand, brother and sister. So the thought atmosphere, when you ignite one of these things, you're affecting the thought atmosphere. So whether they reject it or accept it or whatever, it's still affecting them. And their brain is going to keep sifting out, because they may be taught whatever, but your brain is still based on logic. And the brain is still going to be sifting this stuff out. Annoying to you if you do it unconsciously. And so at some point, right, the brain is either going to be able to take and incorporate it and be nourished by it, or if this pressure is greater than the brain pressure, it's going to start collapsing. It's going to start deteriorating your mind, start making you think backwards, have a retrograde mind, start thinking against yourself, like you see Europeans doing, They marching towards destruction. Everything they're doing speaks destruction because their mind is being crushed by this pressure. Their mind's being crushed. They're thinking against themselves. Because when your mind's crushed, that means you start thinking in a crushed mode. You think that's the right way to think. Because that's doing me up here. If your mind is pressure, which it is, and your mind start collapsing because the pressure is greater, remember, that's the way you're thinking. So you want that's the proper way to think. Self-destruction. That's why some people commit suicide. That's the right way to think. Because their pressure mind cannot handle the pressure, external pressure. So they start thinking, they become self-destructive. They don't realize it. And some of them just so acute, they just blow themselves away. What we're going to say, brothers and sisters, you got a whole thought atmosphere, and that's the plane that we're fighting on. See, they're fighting with the power of the air. They call the prince of the power of the air. But we're fighting with the thought atmosphere, igniting. That's the angel. That's the weapon, the arsenal I've been given, right, to go to war, right, on thought atmosphere to destroy our enemies on that level. Because when you destroy that level, you destroy them completely. You understand? See, now they drop time bombs on Japan. They destroy completely. There's some destruction. But when you destroy their mind, you destroy them completely. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So it's the idea here behind the process of me doing analysis to show how this works. You understand? That's why I'm doing this, to show you that you can't apply philosophy nor your ideas. You have to have the key understanding. And then what happens is I'm splitting these atoms, right? Atomic weapons. So this was a powerful, very powerful one. This one I'm doing today. Okay? And I know the effect of it, but you can't see the effect. But you do see the effect because you see all the stuff confused going around in European countries. Who's causing it? When you see a tree shaking and the leaf shaking, you got to ask yourself, what's causing it? It's not just doing it by itself. It's the wind that's causing it. You can't see the wind, but it's causing it. And you can see all this stuff and say, well, what's causing these people to do these crazy things? What's causing them to destroy their own economy? What's causing them to get away on oil? What's causing them to fight and start a nuclear war? What's going to destroy them? What's causing them to do stupid stuff like that they're doing in the world today? Who's caused to do it? Because someone has control of their minds, and their minds is being called and turning against themselves. That's why it says God would have a hook in God's jaw. He put a hook in his jaw. Put a hook in his jaw to draw him towards destruction. You don't understand that. And if you out here and you understand, you work studying angel, and you break, that's what you're true in your word, because what you're doing is you ready for battle, and you're nuclear armed. At atomic war, you're nuclear armed, and you're causing destruction. It says Suleiman, he would find nobody to help because you got people walking around and and they got. It's like you have a gun but shooting blanks. Well, that's what good is that? You got the weapons but you ain't using them. Shooting blanks, throwing the weapons at them, throwing the gun at them instead of pulling the trigger. And that takes some pressure to pull that trigger. But you got to go in your study. Because when you study it, you ignite one of those bombs. And one of the things, the reason why you do that, because in order to ignite it, you have to be greater than the pressure that you ignite. Otherwise, you'll be blown up by the pressure you just ignited. So Suleiman his mind has to be greater than that's why you have to study it. To ignite it. Because you have the mind to be greater than what you ignited. Otherwise, when it blows up, it's going to blow you up along with it. So you can't sit around and say, okay, just watch some outdoor. Man, look, man, it's like, guys, you sit by the target and the guy's doing target practice. How's that going to work? Oh man, look, man, he's bringing the angel down. And you ain't still, next thing you know, you're being destroyed by it too and don't even realize it. You've been destroyed by it too. See, everybody else been destroyed, but you've been destroyed out of your ignorance because you say, yeah, man, I'm with the angel. I'm with that. And you ain't doing anything, so you've been destroyed by it too. Just along with everybody else that even don't know. See, they got excuses. I didn't know, but you knew. And you ain't. That's what you need to do. You need to break those, get in there, and so that's our 140,000. They would be able to do that. So their minds be stronger than at atomic bombs that they're igniting. See, and they're gonna be igniting these things. Like I said, I haven't ignited all of them. I've got maybe 30% of the Bible. I had to stop studying to get this information out. So I've ignited a lot. That's why you see all this confusion going. It says every time he broke one of those seals, all this confusion happened. This happened, that happened. So it's happened as a result of the seals. But I know you understand that, brother. Says anyway. At this point, remember the is removed. That was holding back the flood is removed. Only thing holding back now is now the demons. Demons took their place. So that's a demon war. It's a demon, not a demon riot. That was the one on George Floyd. That was 5 months. That was the sealed Bible version of 5 months. The unsealed Bible is there going to actually be a civil war in this country between the demon blacks and maybe some vipers and carrying on in there and the European daddies. It says the demons, Legion leading them. He went off with this. It was he has permission to stay here. He didn't want. I know they may need a country because they not with Abraham covenant, and they want to stay here. They're swine daddies. They said no, maybe go with the swine daddies, right? And they got to fighting off the cliff together. So here he is, just before the flood. Now, see how he's giving you more detail, giving you more fine point exactly when something's going to happen. All these things, every time it's not redundant. They'll say it's the exact same thing other one said. It just gives you more detail, more color to it. It's like having a black and white TV, and now start giving some color, right? So that's a demon war be going on. Because like I've been saying, I said the demons are going to be destroyed at the same time the flood starts. As God, as death and haze of China and Britain is embarking on the west coast, at the same time demons are going to be destroyed. At 5 months. So we know it's 5 months in the future. Right? Okay, let's move on. Okay, that's Armageddon now, right? Now here comes the flood. Now here comes the flood. The goat versus the ram. Here comes the flood. See? Now it says the flood is 5 months too. That's 2 months right together. See, remember, it says Babylon will be destroyed in 1 day, in 1 year. So far we got 5 months and another 5 months. That's 10 months altogether. Right? It's 12 months in a year, right? And here we got another thing here. Again, I want you to think about what we just talked about on the about the demon war. Right? And I'm gonna take a minute, 1 minute break. Just think about that, brother. So I want you to take time to think about these things before we move on to the next one. Okay? Just give yourself a couple of minutes to think about that. Well, understand this process. Hold on. Well, sisters, adjustments here. And now, if you recall, when I was talking about those dates, because that was part of those dates. Those are dates that would lead up to those dates that would lead up to the flood. There was overlap there. There's overlap there. Okay? So keep that in mind. Hold on to me. But it would lead up to the flood. But there was overlap. I think I mentioned that, right? I'm not gonna go back and didn't go back. I'm not gonna go back to it, but keep that in mind. See. Okay. Okay. Okay, oops. Now here, you got dates again. Remember, it comes in pairs. The 10th month on the first day of the month, and 601st year, that means the year changed, but it's still is the first of the month. So now it still is different between months still, right? 3 months difference here because you say 10th month, right, to the first month of the next year. That's 3 months. See? And so the water decreased steadily until, see, in other words, this is during the flood now. Because it says water decreased. This is during the flood, this period talking about. The 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains became visible. So now, this is during the flood, right? That's the 10th month on the first day of the month. But now it came about in the 601st year. That means first was 600 years, and now you went to the 601st year, right? And the water was dried up on the earth. So this gets down to the point where, right, the flood is over. This period is from during the flood until the flood is over. Because it tells you, and the water was dried up on the earth. See, but it doesn't tell you exactly. See, because remember, this overlap here. So that's a 2-month overlap, because we got 13 months if you just add 3 months together here, because you got 5 and 5 is 10, and in Babylon all that will go down. Well, actually, let me tell you back. Babylon goes down during the flood. Anyway, if you just work with the 12 months, basically, that's a little more complicated here. But you understand, the thing is that the end of it, so it's 3 months here, is not like you add the 5 and 5, because it says it starts during the flood. That's why I was talking about overlap. I don't know if I explained that too well yesterday, right? Okay, so that's a 3 month period. Okay, understand? Now the flood is going on. The flood is going on now. They're in the flood. See, they're in the flood. See. See. And then, actually, I jumped the gun. I said the 5 months. I hadn't said this other 5 months. Okay, the 5 months, the first 5 months, right, was the demon plague. Okay, and this 5 months here is during the flood. Okay? Because remember, that 3 months there was only part of the flood. And 3 months was from some part when the water started declining until the end of it. But it says the flood will not be 5 months altogether, because it says here the water prevailed increasingly great upon the earth, and outflowed in the surge of the water, and the water prevailed more upon the earth, as all the mountains, high mountains everywhere under heaven were covered. The water prevailed 15 cubits higher, and the mountains were covered. The water prevailed upon the earth for 150 days. So the flood lasted 150 days, which is 3 months, 5 months. So that's the other 5 months I was telling you about. I kind of jumped the gun there. That's the other 5 months I was talking about. So when you got 5 months, you got 5 months before the flood. That's the demon plague. And now you got 5 months during the flood. That's 10 months altogether. So the flood lasts 10 months, 5 months. And the focus plague just before it, and that's 5 months, that's 10 months altogether. Okay? So, let's look at this. Now it said the word prevail 15 cubits higher. See, here it is. Here's the waters. Here's 15 cubits. 3, right? 9, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. The waters above. Real higher. It's higher than 15. Here it is. That's the waters. Right? That's what it's talking about. This is the flood here. And the mountains were covered. These are the mountains. These are all called mountains. The mountains were covered. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Mountains were covered. See? Word prevail. Here's the 15 cubits. Mountains were covered. The mountains right here. What's talking about? Okay? Not some flood that covers the whole earth with water. That's impossible if you do the math. If you had enough, if you had the water, remember, it says this flood, right? It says that the flood, flood dropped. That means it didn't go to Mars, it didn't go to Venus. The flood here. But where could it go to? Because that flood, remember, Mount Everest, I believe, is 6 miles high. If it covered that, that means if you do the math, and that it covers the whole earth up to a 6 mile high, raised above the surface of the earth. Where was that water go? That's about 10 times more water, maybe 100 times more water than you have on earth all together right now. Where did water go? Okay. Understand that, brothers and sisters. Move on. Okay, that's the flood. 5 months. See? And that's so the cubits, that's part of the flood. Remember, so we covered everything so far, right? We covered 7 days. We covered 40 plus 40, right? 40 days, 40 nights. We covered the dove, right? And we covered the dates, right? The 2 groups of dates, right? For the month, day, and year, right? We covered that because it's two. We covered all the different pieces of it so far. So what's left? Peace at last. Now you got the raven. What is that about? See, I read that carefully. See, go look at this raven here. What's about the raven? And it came by at the end of 40 days, Noah opened the garden in which he had made, and he sent out a raven. See, remember, the flood lasts from at the end of 40 days. But it's not talking about literally 40 days, because remember, this is part of the puzzle. Because we know how long it lasts, 5 months, and it tells you about those dates. But it also says, at the end of 40 days, because the flood was supposed to last 40 days or 40 nights, right? So at the end of the 40 days, open the window of the ark, which he had made, and sent out the raven. That's when the raven went out, not with the dove. You got to read this carefully. That's when the raven goes out. Who's the raven? Raven represents the Nation of Islam. See, and it flew and up till the waters were dried up from the earth. See, and where's the raven? It's raven with the waters. See, so we'll see it in a minute. I'm saying that's why you got to read very carefully, brothers and sisters. And because we're almost finished here. Then it says the flood in, right? And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Let me hold it. Earth was dry. Let's read this carefully. What did it say? And the earth was dry. Remember that? Earth was dry. Now what it says previously? It says the water was dried up from the earth. That's different. It's different. See, you might think it's saying, it says, and flew until the water was dried from the earth. The water was dried from the earth. See? That means the water's going, that means the earth is dry. The water's going to be gone, but the earth should be damp, but wet. See? If you don't pay attention to these little things. So in other words, until the water was dried up, so the water's gone now, right? But now it says it take this long, and then the earth was dry. And that's second month on the 27th day of the month, right? Now, remember this is 601 years now. So when you put that together, I think I have that here. You have that there, right? Okay. And that came out 600 year. Say first year, first month, first year. Okay. We're dry from the earth. See, that gets back to I was telling you 600 and the first, the 601 first. Let me get this right. 600 and first year in the first month on the first month the was. Let me go to the next one because I think I cleared up on the next one page here. Okay, there you go. There you go. I don't want to confuse anybody. In the second month on 27th day of the earth was dry. I put the two together, right? See, on the second month or 21st, 27th day of the month, that's when it's dry. But it came in the 601st year, the first month, and the first other month, the water was dry up from the earth. Right? Remember, there's two. So this one happens first, and then the earth was dry. So that's what you got right here. You got 601, right? 600 and what did I do here? 6 months first. Okay, right. Okay, right, I got it. Okay, what's happening here? It says 1 year. Right, 1 year and 627. 1 year and 1 month. Right? This all happens. Because this goes back to 602. That's the case. See, the 602 month, where is it? Second month and 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. That's there. And it came in about the 601st and first month, the earth was dry. Did that make an error here? It came about in the 6th. Now it came back in the 600th and first year, right? That's the right there. The first month of the year, earth was dry. The world was dry from the earth. Okay, right. I think I made an error here, bro and sister. Did I copy the wrong thing in? About 6 months, right? Here on the 6th. Let me look at the next page here and make sure I'm okay. Let me see what I did here. What I'm saying here. I think I put the wrong number here, brother and sister. In the second month, on 27th, earth was dry. Yeah, okay, I know I did. I have to go all the way. To show you, just have to go all the way back. I'm not going to do that, right? And this shows you here. This shows you here. I'm going to have to go back to make sure I got this right. I don't want to confuse anybody here. Let me go back. Make sure I got this right. Let me go back here, brothers and sisters. There won't be no errors here. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. I see what I did. I see it now. Okay, that's what I did. I see it now. Okay, the 600. That should be 601. That's my error. Right? It says Cain in the sixth first and okay, that should be 601. That was my error. I mistyped it. I confused myself. Okay. It should be 601. So between the two, you got 1 month and 10 days. 1 month and 10 days. After we're saying here, I'm not going to correct it here, brothers and sisters. So we're saying here is that about 600 in first year in the first month, right? Okay, and the second month the earth was dry, right? So that's the second one. That should be 601. Should be afterwards. So between the two, you got a month and 26 days. Almost 2 months, right? From the time the flood stops into the flood, because that's what happens. In the flood is when the water was dry. The water was dried up from the earth, right? That's the flood. And then when the earth is dry, right? Okay. So there's no more water. That's what I'm trying to say. No more water. Okay, so we see what that means. Yeah, I mistyped. I asked a typo, but see, a typo can get you messed up. You guys probably got to care for everything. I didn't realize I had made that typo. That's what I confused myself. Okay. Remember the raven. The raven happens at this point because it happens after the flood. Here's the raven with the waters. See, remember I said raven with the waters? That's raven. So that's the NOI. They was in the waters, and the flood with the ark was on them, but they was redeemed. See? Okay. The flood's over. Right? Okay. So flood's over. Here's the waters. Right? Okay. Now what happens to the waters? Remember the waters was dried up. This is what it's talking about. Keep going. That's what it talks about in chapter 20, where death and Hades was thrown into the lake of fire. So let's back up. Let's see if we understand this. I did everything and I made one mistake, brothers. I forgot my typo. You don't know, that really bugs me because I'm a perfectionist, and I really look at this thing over and over again, and I guess I missed that one. It happens. Okay, let's look at this. See what happens here? What happens here is that represents India and China as the gold. They took out America, took out all European countries. That's the flood. All the earth is gone. All European countries are gone. We're in captivity. In other words, they have no power anymore. What's left is in captivity. Okay? But if you know the wind is there, that's the African countries. So Obama's there. He's that beast. I know you understand this. He's that because when the goat comes, right? When China and you got to read chapter 17, when China and India come together, it comes. It says the other beast. In other words, there's two beasts. Remember, there's a dragon and there's two beasts. The dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns. Has crowns upon his heads. 7 heads and 10 horns. Read chapter 17 and chapter 13. Crowns upon his horn heads. But there's another beast had 10 horns and 7 heads. But his crowns are upon his horns. The same structure as a dragon, 7 heads and 10 horns, because the same thing. Because that's what we're talking about right here. See, you see, I'm not going to go back and show the whole key. But see right here, it said river and sea, that's 5 of the horns, and river and sea, the other 5 is 10 of them. Right? Okay. And the heads will be European countries. So the beast had 7 heads and 10 horns also. What's crowns upon his horns? And that's what we see in chapter 13, the transition between the dragon and the beast. The dragon gave his beast his great authority. So that means there's a power shift from the dragon to the beast. Now, that beast represents the goat. Because now it has the crowns. It has the power. Right? And there was another beast that also had 7 heads and 10 horns. Right? But this didn't have any crowns at all. But it was with the beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns, crowns upon his horn. That represents now some Africa led by that beast, Obama. Because he be with the other one. So when the goat comes, they all come together. So now they've already taken out the European countries. And it doesn't tell you here, but they're going to go against us because we home now. That's the ark. We home. Okay, and that's when they're going to be destroyed. So they're all gone. That's it. That's what that means, brothers and sisters. So it says that. Now I've been saying in the past, right? I never said. I said it'd be the world latter days. I said it wouldn't say how long it would be that what would take place after Armageddon, right? I never say right. This is telling you. It says it'll be a month, be almost 2 months, and then they'll be gone. See, everyone gets new information. Everyone gets new information because it was open. And so how long is it going to take before they actually do that? How long before that latter war talks about? I've been telling you about. It says a war of the latter days. That's that war is going to take place after Armageddon, after the goat and the ram. And so that's the wars when they're gonna look over and say, because they're gonna fight against each other, and then it says that's that little horn in Daniel. He's going to take them out, and then he's going to look over there, and you got the whole world, and then he's going to accept us. And we're going to say, we ain't going to have no fences and nothing, no fences or anything around us. We're at peace. We're at home at peace. That's it, peace at last, right? And then that's when they're going to attack us. That's the last war. And it tells you here in this one, it says that probably going to take place in a couple of months after Armageddon. See, you didn't know that before. Every time you go in there, it gives you more information. Like I said, now I only got 1/3 so far. Because I've been doing this 30 years. This is hard work. I spent all night just putting this together right here for you. And that's putting it together. But you know how long it took me to figure this one out? It took me more than a year to figure this one out. Studying hard. I mean, I started looking at this 30 years ago. But I had so many things to look at, I put it kind of on the back burner. And I looked at it more and more as time went by, and then I started focusing on it. And once I started focusing, it took more than a year to put that together, because this stuff is hard. It's not easy. So these clowns, they taught their philosophy. I think this like that clown was talking Sunday. He trying to break down something. Yeah, his philosophy, his interpretation of it. He don't know what the hell he's talking about. It's full of shit. And everything I told you right now, you go back to Angel Key, you can trace it back and see it's fully accurate. Because if you write that key, you don't understand nothing. You understand nothing. You understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters here? So that's it. This is a primarily reason I was doing this, because of the process. To show what it takes to figure out what that really means. Not no BS. You're talking about Ishmael Farrakhan's little puppy. Talking about he suffered from sciatica and all that kind of stuff. Right? He said you take a whole week to talk that bullshit he talks every Sunday. God's a man. He ain't nothing but a man. He can't be nothing but a man. But yet he's in everybody's room making babies. See, everybody comes and says, we going home. We ain't going. You know, and he take a whole week to figure that out, to make up that bullshit. Pull that crap out his behind. Where he's constipated or something. He might be severely constipated if it take that long to pull that shit out of his ass. Right? So I'm just letting you know. The reason I'm doing this like this, because I want you to see the process. Understand the process. What it takes to unlock this stuff. And this is one of the more complicated ones. It took me long to figure this one out. And there's more complicated in the sense that just trying to explain it to you. There's a lot I didn't even talk about here. There's a lot more to it, right? But I try to give you the nuts and bolts of it. See, it's not easy. And so I tell you what it covers. It covers from the time Master Rama shows up until the time that we're finally at peace, finally home and securing our land. And Master Muhammad is the guards in charge. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yep, that's it. That's it, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand, this is Noah. And I covered all the main points of Noah. There's some little subtle points I didn't deal with, but I covered all the more points. And if you see, I covered all the different things. So dates, right? The 40 days and 40 nights. The 7 more days, right? 150 days, right? The dove, the raven, covered all of it. And I have it all right here. Hope you understand, boss. Says, Assalamu alaikum.